Joseph. So hi guys, I'm Kiki, and today we're doing another episode of 5-Minute Mysteries. I really am enjoying this game, and actually I just filmed another part and I was like, should I do another one or shouldn't I? But I think I'm gonna do another one. So we're here, let's do it. And I don't know which one we should do. I saw this about the haunted portrait, but the solve rate is like only 40%, and I think I'm not good enough yet. I'm only solving stuff that's like above 60%. Because I did fail on the very first episode, but I actually did good on the previous one. You probably have seen that already. And yeah, let's find Rocks and Feathers, maybe this one by Elsa Darcy. So it's 66% solve rate, and let us open it and let's attempt this mystery. So the lantern swung lazily on the porch as Reverend Elijah Gray surveyed the land around his small Pennsylvania property. The wooden boards creaked in rhythm with his rocking chair as he enjoyed the tranquility of the night. His wife has taken 2 children to her sister's home, and Reverend Gray, meow, like Gary did. So Gray was enjoying his solitude. What is it with Gary and me, dude? So his eyes slid from the hues of the daybreak glowing in the sky to the lantern that continued to swing mildly overhead. Oh, the year was 1848, and the lantern was a beacon that the Gray house was a safe house or station on the Underground Railroad. And the conductor and the group arrived just as the Reverend's pocket watch broke the silence. He smiled at punctuality and stood to greet his guests. The station master is black? What? Said one refugee in astonishment. The Reverend understood their surprise. It was a rarity for those poor souls to see a land-owning free black man. So before long they all sat around the table hidden away from the windows in the back parlor, where they were fed and given pitchers of fresh water. The group was mostly young men who had the strength to endure the long journey, where walking 15 miles in a night was common. There were a few women, one in particular caught the Reverend's attention. She had given her seat to a young man who accompanied her and helped him to feed himself. The conductor whispered quietly to Reverend Gray. His name is Tom, mother is Bertha. Poor man's as simple as they come. Bashed in the head when he was a boy by an overseer. Can't take care of himself. They as poor as church mice do, and that Tom has a mighty fearful temper. Okay, so we know that Tom has a fearful temper. So who was Tom? Yeah, Tom is like the little poor boy. So the Reverend nodded complacently and poured stew into a spare clean bowl. He placed that bowl before the woman who knelt at the table and smiled at her kindly. Clearing his throat, he moved to the head of the table to speak to the 11 escaped slaves. Welcome, my brothers and sisters. I'm the Reverend Gray. I'm thankful you have nearly completed the journey to Canada safely. If you have any wounds that need attending, please let me know. My wife has prepared chicken stew. We keep a small number of the birds on the property. And chickens, Mama! Mama loves chickens. I'm gonna fetch a chicken for Mama. Tom exclaimed excitedly. His mother soothed him, and the Reverend smiled. Forgive me, you are tired. I have a tendency to ramble. There are cots in the cellar, as well as extra blankets. There is a swinging window in the cellar that doesn't latch, and it lets the cold in. I'm sorry I can't do more. However, it's not uncommon for parishioners to visit throughout the day. Not all people, even in this part of the north, are as understanding as they should be. Come along and follow me. Those that had finished eating were escorted downstairs into the cellar. When he returned, only 4 of the group remained at the table. The older man spoke as the Reverend entered the room. I won't be sleeping near him. He pointed a withered finger at the man who sat across the table eating his stew in silence. A younger man spoke up as well. He stole money, but not from the white folk. He stole it from other slaves, sent to get to salvation. Ooh. And Reverend Gray sat at the table and asked for their names. The old man was Barley, the younger Joseph. The accused didn't answer. His name is Roe, the dirty thief. Barley spit the words across the table. Roe continued to eat his stew, saying nothing. Calmly, the Reverend asked Roe if he had indeed stolen the money. My throat is a little bit dry. Let me just drink a little bit of my water here. Okay. So, Roe shook his head slowly. That's a lie, Joseph snarled. Suddenly, Roe lunged across the table, and Bertha and Tom quickly went into the cellar. Old man Berkeley, Berkeley? What? I can't read today, guys. Old man Barley attempted to end the fight, but he was knocked down. Reverend Gray shouted at the man to stop that bellowed from his deep baritone voice. Barley and Joseph brushed themselves off, cast angry looks at Roe, and went down into the cellar. The Reverend brought a spare cotton blankets and guided Roe to a secret room with the chicken coop. This is the best I can offer you. Whatever your disagreement with those men might be, I can trust the exposure of all our brothers and sisters. I will not tell anyone that you are here, so you won't be disturbed. Here is fresh water and some bread. Thank you, Reverend, Roe said with sincere gratitude as he lay down to sleep. Reverend Gray stepped outside and watched as dawn peeked over the horizon. He was weary from the excitement and decided he deserved a short nap. He entered his room, closed the door, and fell asleep as soon as his head hit the pillow. He awoke to a loud shout. Reverend Gray rushed to the window that overlooked the back of the property. The door to the chicken coop was wide open, and a man lay sprawled on the grass. The Reverend went swiftly down the stairs to the kitchen. Before he had reached the back door, he saw Bertha and the conductor sitting on the floor beside it. What happened? Reverend Gray asked. The man on the ground was Roe, apparently dead from a blow to the head. Feathers littered the ground, and a bloody stone lay next to the corpse. Reverend Gray looked over at Bertha, who stood in the doorway, her dress stained red. She gripped her arms and walked back and forth on her heels. Just like they done to my pa, Tom, my poo, Tom, the poo, babe, poor boy. Rose's body was wrapped in a blanket, carried into the house and put in the cellar. The Reverend has no intention of letting in a murderer leave his property. Nearly everyone had been woken up by the same shout, at which point they noticed Bertha, her son Tom, Barley, and Joseph were missing. The conductor stated that when he went to investigate the sound, he found Barley and Joseph in the kitchen and Bertha outside trying to wake Roe. Tom had not been yet located. Okay, let me just read that once again, because the conductor and found Barley and Joseph in the kitchen and Bertha outside trying to wake Roe. And the entire group turned suspicious eyes on Barley and Joseph, who stood against the cellar wall. We was just talking, Joseph said, frightfully looking to Barley. Barley and me was talking about what he was gonna do in Canada. It's true. Don't look at me that way. We were just talking. Wouldn't be ashamed if I killed that good-for-nothing thief, but we had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know where he was sleeping. Joseph didn't either. The Reverend paused thoughtfully. Usually men are killed for gold. Conductor, please check Rose's person for his money. The conductor searched for the dead man's pockets while Reverend Gray watched the uneasy refugees. Suddenly there was a bang and Tom appeared in the corner of the cellar. Bertha rushed over to her as soon as the conductor announced there was no money on the body. The crowd erupted with accusations. Bertha called, the money is in his jacket. She emerged from the darkness, her son remaining in the shadowy corner. When I was trying to save him, his jacket was heavy, so I knew there were coins in there. The conductor tapped Rose's jacket and heard a distinct clinking of coins. Sewn into the cloth, Reverend. Reverend Gray noticed a floating feather emerge from the shadows behind her. The Reverend looked around Bertha towards Tom in the corner, but she stepped sideways to block his view. Softly but authoritatively he said, Tom, would you come over here, please? The cellar grew silent as Tom snuffled into the light cast by the lanterns. His shoes were covered in feathers. The Reverend smiled sorrowfully. Tom, how did you get out of the cellar? The swinging window. Mama come too, but she done fall down. Not fast like Tom. Silly Mama. Why were you in the chicken coop, Tom? The Reverend asks. And Mama loves chickens. Mama wants chickens. Tom, fetch a chicken for Mama. Bertha, why did you go outside before anyone heard Roe shout? The woman paused anxiously before proceeding. I heard a scuffle and saw poor Roe bleeding from his head. Barley, Joseph, did you see Bertha pass you? The two men shook their heads. I killed him, she shouted. Why? Wanted money. The Reverend looked at her with pity and said, it's obvious who killed him. I think it's Tom. It's gotta be Tom. Let me just check once more, because I think Bertha, who was the mother of Tom, she was protecting her son, and of course, if she's just feeding him and doing all these things for him, of course she would want to protect him, because first of all she's his mother, and second of all she knows that he is completely helpless and he will probably get killed if she doesn't do anything. And if she killed him, I don't know why she would, because I'm not sure why she would kill him in the first place, because she was not one of those who had accused him. Let me just go up a bit, and so I won't be sleeping near him. So who was the first one? The older man spoke. Who was the older man? The older man was Barley? Yeah, and the younger was Joseph. So let me just figure it out. This one is a bit like more difficult, at least for me. I don't know, maybe I'm a big dum-dum, which is true. But let's think about this. Like, Tom, chickens. I'm gonna fetch chickens for Mama. So I think this incriminates our little Tommy. But let me just read over this. Just skim some over this.
Many hours later.
So Bertha and Tom leaped to the cellar before anyone knows, before the Reverend actually says where Ro is gonna be sleeping. So I don't think they know where Ro is sleeping. Let me just... Old Man Barley attempted to end the fight but was knocked down. So Barley was the one who attempted to stop the fight.
Yeah, this is big brain time.
And... I think this exonerates Bertha. And... Okay, so this is a little bit of a more difficult one for me. Like they done to my poor Tom, the poor babe, poor boy. I think Bertha would not do this. This exonerates Bertha, I believe, and this I think exonerates. If I'm gonna mark that. If Barley attempted to end the fight, I think that exonerates him. But I don't know what would exonerate Joseph. There we go. This exonerates Joseph, so I think it's Tom. Let me just solve the mystery. I think it's Tom. Yeah, it was Tom. It was Tom, but I didn't get any of the clues correct, but I did get the result correct. So let me just read this little explanation here. So Ro tried to stop you and you hit him with a stone, didn't you? Bertha began to protest, but he interrupted her. No, you didn't do it, Bertha. You knew where the money was, yet you didn't take it. And Joseph and Barley couldn't have killed Ro because they didn't know where he was sleeping. Reverend Grey looked at Tom. Bad man shouted, Tom blurted nervously. Gonna tell on me. So I hit the bad man. Don't tell nobody. Bertha rushed to her son and held his head to her shoulder. I didn't get there in time, Bertha said in between sobs. Ro was dead before I got to him. And the epilogue. That evening, the passengers on the Underground Railroad gathered in a distant corner of the lot to pay their last respects to Ro. Reverend Grey saw the distant figures of Bertha and Tom hunched over and fearful, running along the roadside until they reached the woods. He had given them money, a few days' worth of bread and cheese, and a map to guide their way to freedom. Well, this was a pretty sad one. Like, I wasn't expecting to hear about like escaped slaves and murder and like stuff like that, because that is some heavy S. Okay. But I like this one. I did get it correct because like the moment that I heard that, or that I read that Tom, first of all, he wanted to get the chicken for his mother, and second of all, he had a short temper. He was the killer. That was pretty obvious. I just don't know. I remember having trouble with this even back years ago when I was playing this game. I had a difficult time like choosing what clue I should select for what exonerates someone, what incriminates someone. Maybe that's on me. Maybe that's like some issue that I have personally. But yeah, I really enjoyed this as well. So if you did, please leave a comment if you want to see some more of these videos. Leave a like as well. I would really appreciate that, and I'll see you in the next one.